Yo, what is going on today, guys? Today I got a very special banger in store for you. We are starting off the YouTube version of Rapper Report Cards today, and we are starting with the one, the only, J. Cole. Now, J. Cole is obviously a rapper who has commercially and critically dominated the world for the last decade or so. One of the biggest rappers of the 2010s, as well as one of the most beloved and one of the most polarizing. The North Carolina MC has had an illustrious career so far, and in my opinion, he's just starting to heat up for real. J. Cole has always been one of my favorite rappers since I started listening to rap music 5-6 years ago. He instantly is someone I gravitated to. In the early days of me being into music, I thought 2014 Forest Hills Drive was a 10 on 10 record. Thought it was a classic, and listen, we'll talk about that later, but I'm just prefacing, J. Cole is a rapper that I love. He's one of my favorite rappers out right now. So yeah, let's talk about it. We're going to be starting off with a mini discography ranking of J. Cole's 6 studio albums. Coming in at number 6, we got Born Sinner. I know there are a lot of people who have this at number 1 on their J. Cole album rankings. I don't get it. This album is a mess to me. It is very clearly J. Cole being young, taking risks, making mistakes, and I mean, yeah, there's definitely a very good songs here, but the first half of this album is pretty crap. Voluminati is a shitty intro to the album. You're getting weird bars from J. Cole. You're getting misguided bars about being homophobic and half-assed, unconvincing brags about J. Cole's the best in the game, and you could tell when he's rapping, he doesn't believe it himself when he's comparing himself to Pac and Hove. And this is overall just a boring way to start off the album. You even got the Juicy sample flip in there. That is fine. And you move on to Land of the Snakes, which is another song where J. Cole uses a legendary instrumental, The Art of Storytelling Part 1 by Outkast instrumental. One of the best songs ever instrumental. And he makes it into a super boring track, super derivative, and something that I don't even want to listen to. There are still good moments on this album when you get tracks like Forbidden Fruit with Kendrick Lamar. You get a great memorable chorus from Kendrick where he's experimenting with his vocal inflections, and you get some nice rapping from Cole, rapping about misguided love interests and chasing lust, all that stuff. You get a lot of that on this album. You get a lot of J. Cole talking about his pursuit of women. He gets introspective about his womanizing, but also raps about still doing it, so it's a little weird, a little muddy. You also get tracks here like Chaining Day, which is another very good song from Cole where he's rapping about the value of chains and what they mean to rappers. Like, not the monetary value, yes, but also the, like, status value and all these other things. And he's making a whole song not necessarily personifying, but just talking about the value of chains. You're also getting corny and just weird bars here, like, I came out the womb with my dickhead hard, or with my dick hard, excuse me. Man, I wish I should have taken that with some context, but honestly, there's no song context that is going to make that sound good. There is a lot of corny lyricism here. Cole gets a lot of flack for being a corny lyricist. He is sometimes, not always, but especially early on, especially on Born Sinner, it's corniness mixed with, like, I would describe it as like a false prophet type thing, where you're getting a lot of preachy, a lot of J. Cole trying to be like, trying to be wise, give some wisdom to the youth, give some knowledge to the youth, but a lot of it is misguided and immature. There are a lot of stuff where he's preaching about where he just sounds dumb, or just not even uneducated, just like too young and too, really just too young and immature to be talking on some of the topics he's talking on, especially with, like I said, with like the womanizing and the hookup culture and all that stuff. You know, it does get a little weird. You do get moments here like Runaway, which actually is the one track where Cole is rapping about problems like this, and he does it well, where he breaks down the dichotomy of being a young man in love, being young and in love, but also being too young to want to settle down. And it's a very interesting struggle, and he does a really good job of just breaking down both sides, explaining how he feels, where he weighs in on it, and how you could feel both ways. He also has a nice song chorus here, which I can't say about many of the other tracks. One of J. Cole's biggest flaws is always his choruses. He's not necessarily the best chorus writer, and especially not the best singer on this album. He still needs work. One more track I wanted to talk about real quick is the Mo Money interlude, where we see Cole using the word money just repeatedly in each verse in different ways to just make a nice little fun song, showing off his skills, showcasing his potential and his ability. Obviously, his technical ability isn't this good on the rest of the album, but we do know it's there. Yeah, I mean, Born Sinner does have, like, I've been bashing it a lot. It does have a lot of solid and good tracks. I enjoy this album. I think it's a good album. I just have to explain the reasons why I don't think it's amazing, because I know people are going to see the rating and think that I hate it, and I don't. But I don't love it either. This is a messy album. It is unsure of what it wants to be, where you're getting some, like, you know, you're getting some accurate, wise songs. You're getting some great conceptual songs like Chaining Day, like I said. But you're also getting a lot of just weak, misguided immaturity from Cole, like in the first half of the album, like on Illuminati. I mean, I'll be talking about this a lot for the next like 20 minutes. There's not great production, not great singing. These two issues plague Cole's entire career, but this is one of the worst. His singing is probably the worst ever here, and the production is just boring. There's nothing really, maybe not a single beat here that stands out to me or grabs my attention other than the Art of Storytelling Part 1 beat, which J. Cole, again, fumbles on. Tough. Oh well. But for those reasons, I will be giving Born Sinner a 6.8 out of 10, and it does come in at 6 in J. Cole's discography ranking. Alright, so coming in at number 5, we're going to be talking about what is believed by many to be J. Cole's magnum opus, J. Cole's mega success, J. Cole's best album, J. Cole's platinum with no features. We're talking about 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Now, before you guys dox me and show up to my house with pitchforks and flamethrowers, let me explain myself here, alright? There is no denying the impact of this project, the place it will hold in hip-hop culture because of how big it was, the hits it had, and what it did for J. Cole and his career. But guys, this album did not age that well. It suffers from similar problems to Born Sinner. The production is very boring throughout the album. Again, there's no super interesting instrumentals. It's all just very similar boom bap type beats with some vocal tracks thrown in that aren't interesting beats. They did straight up just boring beats that I'm not rocking with. J. Cole's singing, where again, he doesn't sing too much, but when he does, it's not great. And his rapped choruses still aren't that great either. I mean, they will improve later on in his career, as we'll see, but here there's not that much going on. Real quick, another bar I'll throw up. I mean, we all know this one from Wet Dreams. Haven't been in pussy since the day I came out one. Man, who wants to hear that in a song, yo? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but that's just corny. It's not good, and it's, like, dumb. I mean, yeah, you got the iconic tracks in here, most of which I will be talking about later when we get to J. Cole's essential songs, like a Wet Dreams, like a No Role Models, like a Get On My Dick. We're going to talk about all those in a little bit, but for now, I do got to talk about tracks like A Tale of Two Cities, which is a solid song, nothing crazy, nothing remarkable or super memorable, but this song does feature an actual good chorus from J. Cole. It is one of his better song-rapped track choruses, and it's solid. But most of the others, like I said, they are sleepy, they are uninspired, and they are not sticking with me. They are not memorable choruses. With a chorus, you do want a level of either memorability or like infectiousness to the point it gets stuck in your head. And J. Cole has none of that. Even on a track like No Role Models, his biggest song ever, the chorus is clunky and not that great. But yeah, 2014 Forest Hills Drive does give us a glimpse into J. Cole's life, his youth growing up, and also his journey into success. He is giving us most vulnerable work up to this point in his career. It is his most honest, and it's all great to see this. There's a lot of great content here pertaining to J. Cole. There's not as much corniness or false prophet type stuff going on. It's just boring. It's just boring. That is my biggest flaw with this album. Along with the unmemorability and low replay value that this album has for me, there are weak tracks, in particularly Hello, which, I don't know, this is a song I actually really used to like when I first was listening to 2014 Forest Hills Drives, but now, to me, J. Cole's singing is whiny, and honestly, I'm going to just read you off the notes I took from Hello when I most recently listened to it, but, alright. When I went to write the script, this is what This is what I had written for Hello. Holy fucking shit, Hello is so corny. The piano ballad instrumental is so weak and corny, and it gets cheesier the more it builds. Weak singing and surface level lyrics. So boring. Which is still how I feel about that track. It is no good. It is bad. It is trash. But yeah, again, I'm not going to sit here and bash this album. It does have one or two misses, and then the other tracks that aren't misses are just boring or aren't super interesting. But there is still greatness here. There is some profound shit J. Cole's saying. It's just a lot of the choruses and production make the tracks boring and not worth going back to listen to Cole's great verses. But for these reasons, I will be giving 2014 Forest Hills Drive a 7.4 out of 10. Now we are going back to 2011 to J. Cole's debut studio album, Cole World, The Sideline Story. I think there are probably a lot of people surprised to see this album so high at number 4 in Cole's discography, but I definitely think that it's slept on. This is a great introduction into Cole for the mainstream. It is a concise project, not many misses, and it showcases J. Cole's rapping ability very well, and also his versatility. J. Cole's not the most versatile rapper, but he does show us he could give us anthemic bangers like Mr. Nice Watch. He could give us more sensual type poppy bangers like In the Morning with Drake, and he could rap his ass off on tracks like Dollar and a Dream 3 or The Sideline Story. As much as I bash Cole's singing, this is an album that features some of his best, and again, it's still not great, but it's notably better than on albums like For Your Eyes Only and Born Sinner, which we just talked about. Cole World is pretty much what you'd expect. It is J. Cole talking about his youth, his upbringing. You get a nice interlude throughout in the middle of the album where Cole talks about signing his first record deal and being arrested for driving on a suspended license in the same day. And it's just a cool little moment to reflect on about 12 years since its release, where you look at where Cole is now in his life versus to, 12, 13 years ago when he was locked up, but just about to make it out. And yeah, like I said, the track Sideline Story is one of J. Cole's best storytelling cuts. Cole is one of the best storytelling rappers in the game when he wants to be. He doesn't always want to be, but a track like Sideline Story, we are getting that excellence, that great imagery from Cole, as well as the clean flows where it's never getting too clunky or too wordy. He's keeping it concise, but also letting you know he's taking you through what he's been through, and he's taking you through the experience he's trying to give you. Again, I did mention Mr. Nice Watch before. I know a lot of people hate this song because the beat is a little bit corny, the beat is a little bit too much, the synths are heavy, and there is a lot going on. But this is one of J. Cole's best braggadocious tracks. Easily, J. Cole is not the biggest flexing rapper, but here he does it. He got the verse from Hove, and Hove's verse is good. But, I mean, I honestly really enjoy this song. I like the bridge where he's singing. I like his emphatic rapping. He wants to let you know that he does got those nice waters, and he does have it like that. And it's interesting to see Cole in this bag, since he's someone who is so often characterized as like the humble rapper who like doesn't like to flaunt his wealth too much, and at least at this one, but hearing him in this bag early on was very cool, and I very much enjoyed that track. But yeah, for those reasons, I will be giving Cole World, The Sideline Story, a 7.6 out of 10. Just incrementally better than 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Moving on to number 3 now. We are in the top 3 of J. Cole's discography, and we are talking about his 2018 album, KOD. Now, KOD is very much an album that people look back on negatively. Similar to Testing by A$AP Rocky, which also came out that year. And when KOD came out, I loved it. And then shortly after, like, probably from like 2019 to like 2022, I was like, all right, this is like, everyone like, this album isn't that good. The mainstream tracks aren't that good. The Kill Edward features are whack and blah, blah, blah. But then I re-listened to this album for the recording a couple times, and I was like, okay, there's some shit here. A huge problem people have with KOD is the fact that J. Cole, it's just over-ambitious. And that is still the biggest flaw with the album. It really is over-ambitious. J. Cole is trying to tackle all these different vices that people use as escapes from their reality. He's trying to tackle all the negative aspects of them and explain how harmful they are by dedicating 1 to 2 tracks to every vice. And it's just very over-ambitious. And there are definitely tracks here where he doesn't do it that well. Kevin's Heart is a banger. I love that song, but it doesn't do a good job explaining how love is an addiction and how you could use it to cope with pain. It is a banger of a track with some nice lyrics, and it's super fun, but it doesn't explain the concept he's trying to explain well. And that still stands as my biggest issue. I think people just overhate it for that. Like, it's over ambitious, but I also think there are songs where he executes as well. You look at a song like Once an Addict Interlude, one of J. Cole's best rapping tracks, where he raps, he gets deep and personal about his mother's alcoholism, and it is a tough track to listen and stomach to. Cole's rapping is passionate, his delivery is passionate, he's making you feel his pain of his mom calling him drunk as hell, and him not knowing what to do, and him feeling like he should have been there for her more and got her help when he was younger. And it's a tough track, but it's also a beautiful track to listen to. And it really is one of Cole's best, and you get several moments like that here, despite what some people may want you to think. A track like The Cutoff, which is hated on by people for its Kill Edward feature. Just a preface for anyone who doesn't know, Kill Edward is a J. Cole alter ego that he uses on this album. It's not the best. His rapping is weird when he does rap in the Kill Edward persona, but again, it's overhated. It is still J. Cole rapping. His vocal effects and inflections are a little bit weird, but I still enjoy it. And on The Cutoff, the Kill Edward feature is fine. J. Cole, we're getting a motivated verse from him. We're getting a very underrated rapping performance from him on this track. But yeah, there are a lot of great tracks here, which again, like I said about 2014 Forest Hills Drives, a lot of the great tracks for all these albums we will be talking about in the essential songs, which is why I have more negative stuff to say for most of these album reviews, because that I will be covering the positives later, and also you guys know all the positives. It's J. Cole, like, you know what I mean? I don't have to get too deep and explain why J. Cole's good. It's pretty obvious if you listen to his music. But yeah, tracks like Brackets, where J. Cole raps about the issues, tries to rap about some of the financial and social cons and some of the social issues surrounding wealth in America in this track. It's a fine song, but again, it's just over ambitious. He's trying to do too much in, you know, a 3-4 minute track, and it's like he's not doing it well, but he's still making it as good music. But yeah, despite Cole's over ambition here, despite him trying to do too much, there is still a lot of quality to be found here, and KOD is truly an underappreciated record in my opinion, and for those reasons I will be giving it an 8.0 out of 10. Now, coming in at number 2, we have The Off Season. I feel like Cole's 2 and 1 are pretty definitive in my eyes. I know other people would have different albums in their top 2, whatever, but to me, The Off Season and For Your Eyes Only are way ahead of the game. The Off Season is his most recent record. It came out in 2021. That's like 2 years ago. Hopefully we'll get the Fall Off this year or next year, and we could compare notes with them. But I think the Off Season is just a warm-up. We all know this album is just Cole rapping for sport, and it shows. It really shows what Cole could do when he drops the conceptual narrative bag that he's always trying to get in, because he often tries to do more than he can. He often is over ambitious. We'll talk about that later with For Your Eyes Only, but Cole, just a solid, what is it, like 10-12 tracks of him just rapping for the sake of rapping like he wants the throne. He's rapping like the rent is due. The Off Season is J. Cole's statement as to why he's one of the best in the game and should be taken more seriously. And I fucking love that about this album. Like, this is the most hungry I've ever heard Cole, and you could hear that in Mari, where he's experimenting with his vocal inflections, and he's experimenting with his range, and he's rapping super fast, super intensely, and he's got bars, but it's not any, like, it's deep because it's good lyricism and it's Cole, and you're getting these good punchlines and these good setups, but it's nothing super conceptual or nothing. He's not overdoing it. He's just rapping for the sake of rapping. And another thing with this album is that it is J. Cole's best produced album to date. Now, we do see him experiment a little bit, get in his trap bag a little bit with some of the production. We're getting a lot of, or especially on a track like Amari, like I said, we are getting more fast tempoed beats. We're getting those fast drum patterns in with the 808s and the hi-hats, and Cole does well here. I hope in the future he is more ambitious with his production, because again, it's still not great. Like, it's good, but it's still like Cole really needs to elevate his production, despite the fact that this is his best produced album by a good margin. A track like 100 Mil also showcases a good chorus from Cole, where he's doing this little, doing this little refrain on the hook. He's using his voice a little bit. He's a little bit whiny with it, but not too much, just enough that you could get into it, and it's infectious. And 100 Mil serves as a victory lap for Cole, where he's just, the song is pretty much just like, yeah, like I made it. Like that's just the vibe of the whole song. It's got a triumphant beat, nice bars chorus, or nice bars feature, I should say. And Cole is just rapping about doing it. You know, he did it. And that's his statement here. And that's what a lot of the album is, where he did it and he's going to keep doing it because he's like that. And again, I love that energy. Normally we get a more laid back, a more calculated Cole, where he's rapping like he's spreading a message, which is cool. I love that. But Cole rapping for sport is different. And for those reasons, I will be giving the offseason an 8.5 out of 10. This was my album of the year in 2021. And in retrospect, that was a fucked call. It's still like top 5, top 7 of that year for me. But obviously, we do got to talk about sometimes I might be Introvert. I could list other albums that are better than it, but I'm not, because sometimes I might be Introvert is significantly better than anything else to come out in 2021. But the offseason is still fucking goated. At number 1, I spoiled it, but it also spoiled itself, just, you know, process of elimination and all that. But we're talking about For Your Eyes Only, another super ambitious project from Cole, like KOD, where he is rapping. He's got this very narrative-heavy project talking about his friend James, who was slain at 22, and we do get to see Cole rap about the relationship with his friend James. We get to see Cole rapping about the conditions in his community that allowed for James to be killed tragically at 22. He raps about how he would change them on a song like Change, and he raps about his hopes for James's family. He raps about, I mean, you guys know the outro already, the title track, For Your Eyes Only. We see him rapping beautifully from James's perspective, rapping to his daughter post-mortem, you know, about just everything he wants her to know, all the life lessons, and it's truly the best thing Cole has ever done. And of course, throughout this album, there are weaker tracks, like the She's Mine Part 1 and 2 and Fold and Close, which are still great songs, but like hold the album back, definitely. They're a little bit slow, they're a little bit weird, they don't fit it well. Cole's singing is good on these songs, especially She's Mine Part 1 and 2. They're more love ballads, more singing heavy. But despite that, they're still great. The album starts off with For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is a great, passionate intro. It lets you know right away what you're getting into with this album. Cole is super vulnerable here with us, as he is throughout the album, and he's very confused, he's very frustrated, and he's expressing a lot of grief in this track around the death of his friend James. And again, it lets you know how serious this album is to him and how important it is to his discography and his career. We see Cole rap about a lot of different topics outside of his friend James. We see him talking about the importance of legacy, gun violence, and gang activity, the underfunding in predominantly black communities that allows for gang violence to run rampant in communities like that, and the negative effects it had on him, his friends, the youth, etc. And again, overambitious. I said this before, if this album was executed perfectly, it could be one of the best albums of all time, but it wasn't. Again, like I said, we get the slower tracks. It is a little overambitious. We could use more rapping from Cole instead of these singing lovey-dovey tracks about James and his family, or they could have at least been done better in a way that makes the album feel more cohesive, because they do feel a little bit out of place. There's no denying that. But yeah, despite some of the flaws I was discussing, it really is the highs that make For Your Eyes Only the best album in Cole's career. It really is the deep meanings of the album and the intricate narrative that put this above the rest of Cole's stuff, because his rapping is great regardless. This is his best written album, again, by a good margin. And it really, again, it showcases the potential Cole has well. Because you think about an album like The Fall Off coming, if he is actually able to execute his concept and his narrative in the way he wants to and have it go over perfectly, it really will be his best album. For Your Eyes Only, hypothetically, is a placeholder for once The Fall Off gets here, because the way he be rapping now, he's rapping like he's about to drop his best album ever. But for those reasons, standing at number 1 right now, For Your Eyes For Your Eyes Only is coming in at an 8.7 out of 10 and is the best album in Cole's discography. And yes, so now we are getting into the essential songs portion of Cole's report card. We're going to be talking about the songs that mean the most to his career, commercially, and in terms of what they did for him blowing up to his position, but also some of his best songs and most important ones. Alright, so let's start with Cole's first album, Cole World. I got 2 songs for y'all from here. First of all, let's talk about Workout. This is really the song that put Cole on the map. This is the song that propelled Cole to the heights of the mainstream. And of course, you have the iconic, the new Workout Plan sample from Kanye with that, you know, do 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 do, and I find it really annoying in this track. I'm not a fan of Workout. I'm gonna put it out there right now. I don't care if this is the song that put Cole on the map. I don't care if this is the song that made him the man he is today. This song is a mainstream pop attempt that goes over well enough. It did what it was supposed to, but as a track itself, it's really not good. Cole's singing, not that good. Sentiment of the track, not good. I don't really care for it, but it's still essential to Cole's catalog when you consider what it did for his career. But the real heavy hitter on this track list, the real heavy hitter on Cole World, a top 5 J. Cole song in my opinion. Let's talk about Lost Ones for a second. Now, any of you guys who are J. Cole fans and you just started scratching your head when I said Lost Ones, you don't know what track I'm talking about right now, go back and listen to this right when you finish this video, because this is peak J. Cole storytelling, and he breaks down the dichotomy of being in a young couple where you find out that the woman or a woman that you've been sleeping with is pregnant. And this is obviously a very hard topic to rap about from the perspective of a man and the perspective of a woman at once. And Cole does this so flawlessly, trading verses with him rapping as himself and him also rapping as the female in the relationship, pretty much playing devil's advocate with himself. And there is not a single word that is amiss in this song. This is just excellence, and it really makes you think a lot of what is the morally right thing to do, and all this and that. And it is a great think piece, and it is a shining star in Cole's early discography of like, wow, this is an important piece of music. So now we got Born Sinner tracks. We'll start off talking about Power Trip, which to me is kind of like Workout. It's one of Cole's biggest songs, did a lot for him blowing up, did a lot for his career, and a lot of people love it. I don't care for it. I think the track is boring, and that's really it. Like, I think Miguel's on the chorus, right? The Miguel Power Trip. I'm not bugging. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I don't care for this song. I never have, and I probably never will. It's a very sleepy cut to me. Reminds me a lot of The Weekend by Mac Miller, and I far prefer that song, even though that song's still like, eh. Now, we're going to talk about Runaway. I already touched on Runaway a good bit when talking about Born Sinner as one of the highlights on that album. So again, essential Cole song, one of another fucking important song he released early into his career. It stands as one of his best of the day. And again, we get this kind of devil's advocate type thing where J. Cole is rapping to himself about a problem, taking both sides of being young and in love and being young and being too young to be in love. And again, it's a very interesting, very good think piece from Cole. Now we have another top 5 Cole song from his early catalog that I want to bring in right now. And we're going to talk about Let Nas Down, which is not a sequel, but it is the response to Workout. We have Cole rapping about how he found out that pretty much Nas used to think of him as like the next guy. And it's important to preface that Cole idolizes Nas. Again, this is one of those songs, if you haven't heard it, go listen. But Cole idolizes Nas, and he pretty much finds out that Nas was praising him and all this shit, but then he finds out that Nas didn't like Workout, and he called Cole a sellout for that song. And this is just about Cole dealing with that fact that he let Nas down. He let down his idol. He was supposed to be next up, and he let down the man he wanted to become. And it's just, you know, you get the reasonings for it where, like, Hova was saying he needed the hit to release the album, and you get the logical reasoning, and it's just a very interesting thing to see Cole struggle through his emotions and his feelings on this situation. Because, I mean, that must be fucking tough to, like, let your idol down. Like, that's going to be demoralizing as fuck. something that probably most people won't experience to that degree, where their idol's Nas and you let them down. I mean, I'm sure most people experience that normally, depending on who you idolize. But like, if you idolize Nas and you let him down, like, that's gotta sting. And again, this is some of Cole's best rapping. It's a well-produced track. We're talking about 2014 Forest Hills Drive essential songs. We got a couple here. We got a nice handful to talk about. We, of course, have a Wet Dreams, which is, like, essential because of the fact it's an anthem in Cole's catalog, and it's one of his biggest and most well-known songs. It's good storytelling for a hit rap song. I mean, obviously, it's not great. There's a lot of corny bars in there, to be honest, but it's a hit rap song. It does its thing, and as much as, like, there's a big part of me that wants to, like, dislike this song. Like, I feel like because of, like, the not great beat and, like, the immature stories, like, you know what I mean? I feel like I should not like it, but, like, if this song comes on, I'm singing it word for word, like, very easily. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is kind of classic. This is a high school-ass song for me. Now, we're going to talk about Fire Squad and GOMD, Get Off My Dick. These are two tracks. These are the two bangers on 2014, in my opinion, where, like, these are, like, gym songs. This is motivation. This is Cole coming for the throne. He's making his claim at it, especially on Fire Squad, where Get Off My Dick is more like a message to the haters, like a fuck you. Fire Squad is like, I'm that fucking guy. He has great bars talking about the cultural appropriation of white people in music, talking about how, you know, Eminem snatched the sound and went mainstream, and same with Elvis, where he snatched the sound. And obviously, like, he says in the track it's jokes, but you're giving you food for thought, which is always good. I love listening to a rap song and leaving with something to think about. You don't always get that. Like, obviously, when I'm listening to Future all the time, I'm not really getting that. But, like, this is a good song where, like, you're done listening to it and you're like, wow, you know? And it's also a banger. There's also the fact that it's a banger with plenty of memorable bars. Same with GOMD. Essential to Cole's catalog. Some of my favorite songs from him ever. We also got No Role Models, which I touched on briefly. It's clunky chorus, and it's like, again, this is the anthemic Cole. This is like the song that really, really got him up there. People love this song, you know. First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil. For real. Like, it's iconic. This is an iconic song to Cole's career. Everybody knows this. Is it one of his best songs? We could talk about that. Like, it's good for what it is. It's honestly great for what it is, but I don't love it. And finally, we have Love Yours, which is another one of the best songs on For Your Eyes Only, and it's just Cole talking about, it's what the title says, it's love yours. It's it's love what you have in your life, love who you have in your life, and be thankful for you have in your life. Be appreciated for your life right now, because it could always be worse. And it's just an important... And it's not like super preachy either. It's very lighthearted. You're getting some singing from Cole, some sing-songy type shit. And it's not super preachy like some of his stuff like this is, which makes it a lot more digestible for sure. It is why this song is so great, because it's just like, it's just Cole reminding you, like, if you're in that shitty mindset, if you're like getting down on yourself, you're feeling like, oh, this sucks, this and that, and this is like a nice hug. This song is like a nice hug. Like, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. You have it right now. And I know it's tough, but it'll get better. And you could always use that. It's hard to replicate a song like that, or make a song like that, I should say. But Cole does it well here, and it is one of the more important songs in his catalog, in my opinion. Next up, we got For Your Eyes Only, which, first of all, I want to talk about Fold and Close. Not that it's an essential J. Cole song that you must know, but because it's important to his catalog, for what it stands as. It stands as the unanimously worst J. Cole song, which I think is far from true. I don't think this song is bad to begin with. It's definitely not good. Or no, I take that back. It's good. I would even go as far to say as it's great. It's definitely not one of his best or one of the best on For Your Eyes Only. It's definitely one of the worst songs on For Your Eyes Only. But in J. Cole's catalog, it is not the worst. The Illuminati, I think, is significantly worse than this, just for, like, I don't know if it's J. Cole's worst track for sure, but it's definitely up there. But Folding Clothes is definitely overhated. Everyone always wants to be like, oh, who wants to listen to a song about folding clothes? That's so dumb. That's so boring. Shut the fuck up. It's got a catchy chorus. It's got a spunky beat, you know? It's definitely one of Cole's most vibrant instrumentals. You're getting the nice inflection. Bet I want to fold clothes with you. Like... I don't know, it's a fun little track. But yeah, I mean, then we have the two heavy hitters here, two of Cole's best songs ever. We got Change and we got For Your Eyes Only, both of which I spoke on briefly when talking about For Your Eyes Only. And the track itself, the title track, again, I explained the narrative and the point behind it. And so I'll keep it brief. But there's, like, this is one of the best rap songs ever. In terms of, like, the perspective Cole is giving you, how much he is cramming into this, like, 12-minute track without it ever getting boring. This track isn't boring. It's long as hell. It's more than 10 minutes long, but it is, every second is worth listening. Every second grabs you, and that is hard for any rapper to do. That is hard for any rapper to do. And Cole does it here. And not only that, he does it in an extremely profound way where he is giving you life lessons. And then we talk about change, where it's similar things as that, where he is speaking mostly on the death of his friend James and how some of the conditions in society that contributed to his death. And he's rapping about some of these social issues, things he would do to change them, where they stem from. You, of course, have the skit on the back end of the song that's very important, where he talks about they got a suicide hotline, but who you gonna call when you got an urge to pull the trigger? And, you know, it's again, it's a think piece, it's food for thought, because it's like, what about that? You know, like, do you think Cole really believes having something like that would prevent deaths? Or do you think he's just saying it? But again, it's important to the sentiment of the track and important to the album as a whole, the narrative. And it's, again, just one of his best songs. Great chorus, great instrumental, which, again, you can't say about most Cole tracks, but Change has both of these on top of some great verses, some prolific rapping from J. Cole. And for KOD, I only got 2 for you guys right now. I did want to include Window Pane, but I decided against it because I do think that is a 10 on 10 song by J. Cole, but I don't think it's like a must-hear, like super important to Cole's career narrative or anything. Like, it's just a perfect song. Yeah, here I got this self-titled track, KOD. I mean, I guess you could throw ATM into this too, because they're both kind of like the mainstream hits, and I think ATM I'm not the biggest fan of. It's kind of annoying, but like in the right setting it hits. But KOD's got a very catchy chorus, honestly. I think this might be one of J. Cole's best written choruses because of how infectious it is. You know, this is what you call a flip. Like, his cadences are very nice. I love his vocalization. And it's just a fun little trap banger from J. Cole, honestly. Like, it's not necessarily the most essential song, but as a popular song in Cole's catalog, I did want to bring it in right now. And then, of course, we have Once an Addict interlude, which I also talked about before. And then again, it is just J. Cole rapping about his mother's alcohol abuse problems. And it's a hard track to stomach, but an important one to listen to. One of Cole's best written songs easily. And I mean, yeah. Next, though, we do have a weird track in J. Cole's catalog. One of his most popular songs, but one that is weird to me. And that is Middle Child. I don't know what to say about this song, really, because it was just a Lucy from Cole. You get the very triumphant mainstream trumpets, the horns in there. You got a catchy chorus from Cole, and I mean, this is just like a pop. This feels like a pop song to me, like a pop rap song. I don't know if Cole dropped it with that intention, because it's not on any album. This is a Lucy, and I'm not like, it's a hit, but I don't like it. Like, it's similar to Workout. Like, it's a hit, and I'll give it that, and it did huge things for Cole. This is, again, one of those songs that really reinvigorated him into the mainstream after KOD. People were like, so. This brought him back. This was, I don't know if it went #1, but this was like a top 3 on Billboard when it dropped. I think it might have been #2, to be honest, but it's a weird track in Cole's discography. But then we move on to the tracks from the off-season. Despite not having this as Cole's best album, I still do have 4 tracks from here. First of all, you get the intro 95 South, which was an emphatic opening to the off-season. Like, that let you know what the off-season was about to be about. That was J. Cole just coming through and saying, fuck it. I'm gonna let these motherfuckers know that it's me, that I'm that guy. And you just have plenty of quotable bars, just very, like, good punchlines. J. Cole's rapping with authority. And again, he's dissing, he's talking about how you have 30 songs on your album and do a measly 100,000. He's, you know, coming through with the disses. He's got the, again, the quotables. Put an M right on your head, you Luigi brother now. Like, this is just an iconic song to me. It represents a time period to me. And easily Cole's best intro. Now we'll talk about My Life, another one of Cole's biggest hits. This song was huge. This was the sequel to A Lot. And you get the soulful singing from Moray, as well as some soul samples in the back. The beat progression is excellent. You're getting a passionate J. Cole verse where you could hear him pouring his heart on. You could hear the passion in his voice. And a great 21 Savage verse talking about spinning the block, talking about how he be killing his ops and sends flowers to their mothers. Like, just that it's that 21 talk, banger, 10 on 10 song right here. Everybody at this point in 2023, I'm assuming, knows this song, because this is probably Cole's biggest song besides No Role Models and Wet Dreams. Now we got Pride is the Devil, which I look at as J. Cole's Pride, like by Kendrick Lamar. He's discussing similar themes about the evils of the male ego and traditional masculinity. He's talking about the importance of dropping your pride and the negative things that your pride will make you do. And it's not as profound as what Kendrick's saying. It's not as directive. It's a lot more, I don't want to say ambiguous or vague, but it's not as detailed as what Kendrick's saying. I wouldn't say it's surface level, but you get the good chorus. You get a great little baby verse here. And I mean, this is, again, for what it represents, it's fucking great. Fucking great song. And the last song I'm going to bring in with J. Cole's essential songs for today is Let Go of My Hand. This is storytelling excellence. I think other than Lost Ones, this might be J. Cole's best story-driven or narrative-driven cut. And For Your Eyes Only, of course. And For Your Eyes Only, of course. Holy shit. And For Your Eyes Only, of course. Holy shit. I almost just fumbled the bag on that. But yeah, you're getting J. Cole rapping about his son growing up, which is an interesting concept. You get a great little outro singing from 6 Lack here, and you get some interesting anecdotes from Cole talking about breaking up a fight between, or talking about almost fighting Diddy, and he's also talking about how he used to, you know, you do actually see him bringing the pride and the ego stuff again, talking about how he used to act tough to hope people wouldn't fight him because he wasn't a fighter, but then having these situations where he would get his ass kicked, and talking about wanting to be a good role model for his son. And it's kind of all over the place, very stream of conscious, but it is a perfect song. This is, again, some of J. Cole's best rapping ever. Now, really quick, I wanted to touch on J. Cole's legendary feature run that people love to talk about. I just wanted to give a little shout out to Tribe with Boz. Absolutely great track. Pretty Little Fears by 6 Lack. You're getting some great emotional rapping from Cole here. Out of Sight, Out of Mind, or Awesome by J-Rock. Again, great emotional rapping from Cole. We got Zendaya by Kaz. This is one of my favorite Cole features ever, where he's pretty much just giving advice to Kaz while he's on the track with one of his Dreamville signees. We got Off These with Jid, another track with the Dreamville signee. This track really put Jid on the map. His very, I guess, staccato-like flow, where he's, the way he delivers his words is harsh. He's very immediate with his delivery, and it's just a very fun, high-paced, high-energy track. We got A Lot with 21 Savage, iconic song. Not even going to speak about it like that, because you know. We got The London, which is probably one of the weakest features I bought in from Cole, but it's important because, like, it's J. Cole, Young Thug, and Travis. Who would have ever expected? And finally, we got his most recent track, All My Life with Lil Durk, that I just wanted to bring in to say that this track is one of J. Cole's worst features in a while. Like, it's not bad, but this track is so underwhelming, and it just feels like a Lil Durk's best mix of getting a hit by mixing, like, a J. Cole feature and the vocal samples in the background of, like, an A Lot or a My Life, while also taking from a track like Super Gremlin by Kodak, using those, like, younger, so, like, that, I think it's like a children's choir sample, it sounds like, in that more trap style instrumental, some of that content matter that Kodak was using on Super Gremlin, and just threw it together into a blender hoping he'd get a hit. Which he did, but, like, the quality of the hit is up. It's up for debate. It's not bad, but it's not a fucking, you know, no one's going to care about it in a year from now. And now, let's break down the stats for you real quick right now. So, J. Cole on the choruses, I'm giving him a 7 out of 10. As I've discussed before, he's not the best singer or hook writer, but he does have the ability to write good choruses. His content matter, I put an 8 out of 10 because he does include a lot of good content matter, but sometimes he overcomplicates it with trying to do too much, or dilutes it by not doing enough, which, again, I think the fall off will boost a lot of these ratings. If he comes through and does on the fall off what he says he's going to do, it will definitely boost the rating for content, because there also is a lot of middling content in J. Cole's catalog. If it was the most recent 3 records in his discography, it could be a 9.5, 10 out of 10. But you have to take in the first 3 as well. So it's an 8. Creativity for Cole is a 7, just because of the fact where he is creative, but his actual rapping style and what he does is so traditional and baseline and like just traditional hip-hop. I can't put it much higher because his actual rapping and his sound isn't that creative, but like you think about his pen game and like all the conceptual narrative shit he's trying to do on albums like KOD and For Your Eyes Only, he definitely is creative, just not necessarily in his rapping style. His delivery, I got at an 8.5 because you do get Cole's deliveries aren't super versatile, but he does have different inflections he could tap into and different levels of aggressiveness or calmness that he could tap into. And his discography, I got it an 8 because there is no bad albums in his discography, not even close. And he does have some amazing albums in there as well, like The Off Season and For Your Eyes Only. His Evolution, I got it a 7.5. Evolution is kind of a weird thing to score because like Cole hasn't evolved so much as he has matured, but I kind of would group maturity into this where you compare what he's rapping about on Born Sinner compared to what he's rapping about on some of his most recent features and some of his most recent work. There's a big difference, and again, where it's not necessarily sonic evolution, but it is maturity and growth in his music, so that is part of the evolution category. So 7.5 out of 10 on that. Now we got features and flow. Both are 10 on 10 for Cole. I mean, he easily is one of the best flows around right now. There's no doubt about that. And his features, I mean, he's like the featured guy. He's like the traditional hip-hop version of Lil Baby. Lil Baby's like the glitch feature in the trap space. J. Cole's the glitch feature anywhere in rap. You throw him with anyone, it's done. Hit making, I got at 9 out of 10 because, I mean, that makes sense. He makes hits every time he drops an album, but he's also not like, I don't know if people think about Cole as like, oh yeah, like John, like, or a decade-defining hit maker. He has his hits, and he has a lot of them because he's a huge artist, but he's not like Drake. He's no Drizzy Drake. Influence, 7.5 out of 10. This was also weird because, again, J. Cole's style of rapping is very traditional, very authentic, so it's not like he originated anything new, but you also got to look at what he's done for the Dreamville Collective. You look at the artists he signs like Lou, Kaz, Earth Gang, JID, all these rappers are actually very similar to him and probably do take some influence from him. Cordae is another rapper I want to bring in who definitely takes influence from Cole. And despite it, you know, he's not on the level of like a Cardi or a Young Thug for influence, but he's also not influential. I don't think we have JID if we don't have J. Cole, you know. Lyricism, I got at 8.5 out of 10. It would be a 9, again, if you subtract like the first 3 albums from his discography. It would definitely be higher because you look at what he does on the off season. His lyrics are perfect throughout, but you also get the corny bars early on in his career. Haven't been in pussy since the day I came out one. He'll never be at a 9 because of that bar alone. Personal enjoyment, 9 out of 10. As I've said, Cole's one of my favorite rappers. Production, 6 out of 10. I've bashed his production enough today. And again, his production is not inherently bad, but it's so boring and generic and just not anything special. So 6 out of 10 there. Rapping ability, 10 out of 10. This we know. J. Cole, for my money, is one of the best rappers in the game right now. It's hard to say he's the best because he hasn't dropped an album in like 2 years. But after he dropped the offseason, he was the best rapper for a period of time. That was his throne for a minute. He took it over with the way he was rapping. Not for having the best album, but the way he was rapping. It was like, oh, Cole is on a different level right now. Singing ability, 6.5. It's definitely improved over time, but singing is not J. Cole's strong suit. There's no way around it. Now, soundscapes, I have it a 4 because J. Cole typically has cohesive soundscapes. They're just so boring and uninteresting, and they're cohesive because he like uses similar instrumental types and doesn't experiment too much with his production. Not because he actually like crafts together a super cohesive, well put together atmosphere. But storytelling is 10 out of 10. initially I had this at a 9 because Cole is one of the best storytellers in the game when he wants to be, and he doesn't always want to be. But the thing that convinced me to put it up to 10 was thinking about the fact where, like, Kendrick would be a 10 out of 10 storyteller, but Kendrick doesn't storytell on every song. So it's like, if you were to line up all of J. Cole's storytelling tracks, that's an impressive list, and I think he is one of the best storytellers in the game right now. Versatility, 6.5, similar to what I said to Evolution, where J. Cole's style is very traditional, very authentic, and he sticks to his guns with that. He's not the biggest into experimenting, but that is okay because he's great at what he does. Vocals, 7 out of 10. Again, J. Cole doesn't always hit the best inflections. His voice isn't the most versatile, and neither is his range, but his vocals definitely aren't bad. He is good. He is able to hit, like, good singing sometimes. He is able to hit good inflections and cadences sometimes. And finally, we got Wordplay at 10 out of 10. Just for a track like Close on the offseason, you listen to that track and the way he's able to carry a whole song using the word close or close at certain points, and it's very, very impressive. There's no doubt about that. But we compiled the stats, we ran through the numbers, and J. Cole will be placing in the high A tier, and he is the first person on the tier list, of course, so I will explain a little bit. This tier list is supposed to be on an all-time basis. Like, ideally, I'll do every rapper ever. Like, that's how I treat this going into it, as if I'm going to do every rapper ever. Obviously, I'm not, because that's, like, impossible. But, like, you know what I mean? This is on an all-time scale. Ideally, I would like to do as many rappers as possible with this. So, Cole right now is in the high A tier. I think it's well-deserved, and I think it makes sense when you look at his output, and not just his output, but his abilities. Because if J. Cole dropped albums that were equivalent to his abilities, he'd be in the high S tier. But again, you look at even J. Cole's best albums like KOD and For Your Eyes Only, they're held back because of being over-ambitious and not being able to execute concepts well. And you look at some of his weaker albums like Born Sinner and 2014 Forest Hills Drive, where it's not necessarily any conceptual issues. You got great rapping, honestly amazing rapping, but it's production that's holding him back. And yeah, I mean, if it were to all come together with, because again, like I said on the report card, you look at his wordplay, his storytelling, his rapping ability, his flow, those are all 10 out of 10. Those are all essential qualities of being a rapper that I think he does perfectly, or I think he has some of the best around. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for you today. Let me know how you're feeling this format, this series. Who do you want to see next, of course? Do you agree or disagree? Am I being too harsh on Cole in 2014 Forest Hills Drive? Or am I being too lenient on him in For Your Eyes Only? Because I know a lot of people think that album is boring. Definitely let me know in the comments. If you're here from YouTube, be sure to check out my Instagram at talking.hiphop. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that shit. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I wanted to start off the rapper report card videos with a bang, with a great artist but also a polarizing artist that would get people talking. So here it is. We got Cole. He is in the A tier. Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Shit, I got the humble fit on right now too. Ain't that crazy?